Maximum word length 2000 words. However, you don't need to be too much worried about a couple of hundred more or less. And an assignment needs to be submitted as a soft copy via Turnitin. And also, you cannot submit assignment in any other form. And there is penalty for late submission. So the case study is about Starbucks Coffee. You know, it's an international coffee house, have operations in 50 countries. However, it failed in Australia. There are several reasons have been identified for its failure in Australia. For example, failure to cater to Australian market, high prices, unsatisfactory customer services, and lack of marketing, and unsuitable store locations. So to examine this situation, you have been hired as a researcher, and the key research issue that you should be focusing is the causes of Starbucks failure in Australia and how they can compete with established chains such as McCafe and Gloria Jones. So these are the two key research issues you should be researching or you should be highlighting. So the requirement is you need to write down a full-fledged research proposal. And your research proposal should have this following components: problem statement, purpose of the research, research design, sample design, data collection, processing and analysis, budget and timeline, dummy table, and references. Let me provide you a brief guidelines on each of these sections. First of all is a problem statement or background. In the problem statement, you should clearly write down what the research issue is or the background of the research issue. And this problem statement should finish with writing down a very clear decision statement. If you can remember, we learned it earlier that decision statement is a key research question that the research will be answering. So a background of the case, highlighting the problems, and then a clear decision statement. The next section is the purpose of the research, and you know that this is very important part of the research proposal because you need to very clearly write down the purpose of the research. So we already have seen that there are two key research issues. One is the reasons of their failure and how they become competitive in Australian market. So based on this two key research issue, you first can write down a major purpose of this research. Then this major purpose can be segregated into some specific objective. For example, let's say you are examining student satisfaction regarding a university. So if your major objective is the level of student satisfaction, then specific objective can be student satisfaction regarding library services, student satisfaction regarding accommodation, regarding lab facilities, regarding lecture qualities, regarding tuition fees. So if these are the specific objective, all these specific objectives should contribute to achieving the overall objective. In this way, you should make the foundations of this proposal. The next section, the largest one, is a research design, including the design of a questionnaire. Research design's purpose is to write down in detail how the research will actually be conducted. Keep it in mind that whatever approach or methods you take in research design, you need to justify why it has been chosen. For example, if you say that you will be choosing an exploratory research, a causal research, or a descriptive research, write down why. Then if you say that you will be doing a survey research, why? Because survey research is not the only research in this world. When you write down questionnaire, briefly write down what will be your mode of survey. For example, will you be going for a telephone survey or an internet survey? What are the advantages or disadvantages for the method you choose, and why do you think that that's the best? Also, when you draw your questionnaire or write down your questionnaire, choose a particular type of or wordings of question and write down why do you choose. For example, if you write down open-ended questions or closed-ended questions, briefly write down why did you choose this particular type of question. So the main point is you need to choose the research approaches or research methods, and that needs to be sufficiently justified. There should be theoretical justification and also empirical justification. Theoretical justification means you theoretically write down why did you choose that. For example, if you choose internet survey, let's say that is less expensive. And also provide an empirical or academic justification where you should provide citations of some previous research. Then sample design. In sample design, you should first write down your target population. Who are your target population? To whom you will be surveying? To whom you will be asking questions? And from this target population, you write down your sampling frame. Sampling frame means from target population, how would you define your specific population? Then what will be your sample? How would you select the sample size? Please come up with a specific sample size. For example, 500, 1000, 5000, whatsoever, and provide appropriate justification that why did you choose this sample size. Also, write down your sampling technique. We will be discussing about different sampling techniques, for example, random sampling, non-random sampling, and so on. Specifically write down what sampling technique will be chosen and why. Okay. In data collection, processing, and analysis, this section basically has three subsections. First of all, data collection. In this data collection section, you should write down who will be collecting data and how much supervision will be needed to collecting data. Then in processing, once the data is collected, how will you be processing the data? For example, how will you get rid of any data inconsistencies, any omissions? How will you be coding? And once the processing is done, in the analysis, how would you analyze that? What statistical techniques will be used, and how this analysis will contribute to achieving research objective? Then budget and timeline. This is also important part. So you should provide a hypothetical budget and also hypothetical timeline. Although it's hypothetical, you should be reasonable, and each budget and timeline should be segregated into different stages of research. For example, questionnaire design, data collection, data analysis, report writing, how much cost you are expecting for each of these stages, and how much time you will allocate for each of these stages. This is how then budget and timeline should be presented in tabular form. Then dummy tables. You should create some tables with some hypothetical results. Those are called dummy tables. Keeping in mind, the purpose of the dummy table is to let your audience know that this is how your actual results will look like, and this is how the actual results will contribute to solving your business problem. So you should prepare some tables, and that should be filled up with some hypothetical results. Keep it in mind, although you should fill up your dummy tables with hypothetical results, these results should be consistent with your questionnaire and also consistent with your research design. For example, if you are presenting some results derived from a statistical technique like regression analysis, but in your research design you have never mentioned that regression analysis will be used, it means that this dummy table is not consistent with your research design. And let's say you prepare a dummy table that overall customer satisfaction how much percentage of the customers are satisfied. But in questionnaire design, you do not have any question relating to this overall customer satisfaction. It means that this dummy table is not consistent with your questionnaire design. So this is how dummy table should be prepared. And finally, references. Throughout your research proposal, try to support your discussion, or try to support your research design, your sampling design with appropriate citations from previous research work, and list these citations in the reference list at the end of the research proposal. So in summary, this is instructions and expectation about the research proposal. However, if you have any specific question, you are welcome to post that in a group discussion board, and also feel free to send me emails if you have any question relating to any of the sections. Thank you very much. Best of luck.